Welcome, friends, to another session on what, why, and how by Stats SD. The topic of our tutorial today is quartiles, deciles, and percentiles, calculations for grouped and ungrouped data. What is quartile? It is nothing but a measure of location. If you've watched my previous tutorial on median, it divides the data set into two equal parts. In very simple words, quartiles divide the data set into four equal parts. Deciles, by its name, divides the data into 10 equal parts, and percentile is dividing the data set into 100 equal parts. So let's look at the calculations for quartiles. Please remember, whenever we have a data set and we wish to calculate the median or quartile, we need to arrange the data in either the ascending or descending sequence. So quartiles divide the data into four parts. Q1 divides the data in such that all the observations below Q1, which are 25% of the observations, have a value Q1, then Q1. Q3 divides the data into three equal parts. All the observations below the Q3 value would be 75%. If you look at the chart, this was the same chart that I had used for median. We had 11 observations, and in this, the sixth observation divided the data into two equal parts, 5 on the left and 5 on the right. If you see Q1, it is nothing but the median between the data between the zeta set into four equal parts. So that is the understanding of why study a data set of the weight of students 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 might be 50, but we are also interested what is the q3 and all between q1 and q3. So sometimes inferences which are not possible using central tendency. Now coming to the calculation, we will use the same data set that we used for our calculation for median. The formula mentioned, Qi or Q1 is L plus I n by 4. So if you're finding Q1, I becomes 1. So 1 into n by 4 minus Cf. If you remember, Cf stands for cumulative frequency of the class previous to the quartile class, and F corresponds to the frequency of the quartile class, and H is the class interval. Now, how do we find what is the Q1 class? The simple formula for that would be Q1 is equal to 1 into n divided by 4. And if I want to calculate Q3, it would be 3 into n divided by 4. So if I do the calculation, 1624 divided by 4, the Q1 value or the position would be 406. You can do the calculation for Q3, which is 3 into 1624 divided by 4, and the division yields the position 1218. In very simple words, the 406th position in total 1624 observation divides the data into smaller 25% below this, and Q3 value or the position 1218 divides the data into three equal parts. which is the 75% of observations fall below the 1 to 1/8 position. Now, coming to the calculation. So I have already highlighted the Q1 class. If you remember, the Q1 position calculated was 406. Now I have the frequency mentioned here, but I cannot locate where is the 406th position. So I take cumulative frequency 300. 300 plus 467, that is 767. 767 plus 328, 1095, and so on and so forth. Now my 406th position cannot certainly be in the Q1 class because I can only accommodate 300 position. So I look at the second class where I can accommodate 767 observation. So obviously 406th position would lie here. So I denote this in red, calling it my Q1 class. Now let's go ahead and do the calculation for Q1. So I write Q1 is equal to L corresponds to the lower limit of the Q1 class. If you notice this class, the lower limit is 25 and the upper limit is 40. So I denote L as 25 plus I n by 4, that is 1 multiplied by 1624 divided by 4 minus CF. As I told you, CF is not the cumulative frequency of the quartile class, but the class previous to that. So this would be 300. Now divide this term by the frequency of the quartile class. If the class denoted in red is the quartile class, the F frequency is 467, and this term I multiplied by H, which is 15. Why 15? If you see between 25 to 40, there are 15 observations. So my H is 15. Let's complete the calculation. So I have 25. If I do the calculation, 1624 divided by 4 was 406. 406 minus 300 should be 106 divided by 467 multiplied by 15. Please remember the BODMAS rule. Bracket open, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So when we have two operations, division and multiplication, the division takes precedence. So I have 25 plus 106 divided by 467 yields me 0.226 multiplied by 15. Finally, 25. When I multiply 0.226 into 15, it yields me 3.39. Therefore, my Q1 value is 28.39. For the Q third position, our formula will slightly change. So it would be, so if I do my Q3 position was 1 to 1/8. So 1 to 1/8 position lies here. So this becomes my Q3 class. Now, what will be the lower limit? It would be 55. So in place of 25, I would denote 55 plus 3 into 1624 upon 4, that is 1218, minus CF of the previous class, that is 1095, divided by the frequency of the Q3 class, that is 123 into 15. Go ahead and calculate, and if your answer matches to this, so your answer should actually come to Q3 is equal to 70. Moving on, what are deciles and percentiles? The values in a data set, when arranged in an ordered sequence, can be divided into 10 equal parts, is called as deciles. So we can use 9 deciles to divide the data into 10 equal parts. And in percentile, we can divide the data using 99 percentiles. So let's look at the calculation. Now for deciles, the formula is again same. So you have D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, D9, and D10. Now, if I want to calculate D2, I first need to calculate which is my D2 class. So how do I calculate D2? I into n, that is say 2 multiplied by 1624 divided by 10 equal parts. If I do this calculation, my decile is 324.8. So I am interested, let me reconfirm the calculation. 1624 multiplied by 2 divided by 10. It is 324.8. Now, if you see cumulative frequency, 324 position cannot be in Q1 class. So then in this case, this becomes my D2 class. Once I identify this, my calculations are same. So I write D2. L corresponds to the lower limit of the D2 class. So in this case, 25 to 40 becomes my D2 class. So 25 is my lower limit plus I into n, that is I was 2 multiplied by 1624 upon n minus cumulative frequency of the previous class, that is 300, divided by the frequency of the D2 class, which is 467 into 15. If I solve this, I get say 324.8 minus 300, that is, sorry, 24.8 divided by 467 into 15. So when I go ahead, my actual calculation comes up to 25.8. Let me confirm. 24.8 divided by 467 is 0.053. 0.053 into 15 is zero point 0.8. So 25 plus zero point 0.8 is 25.8. If I wish to calculate D6, my formula would change. 6 into 1624 divided by 10. I identify whichever is the D6 class. Similarly, if I wish to calculate percentile, which is say P35, my formula would be I, that is 35, into 1624, but now I divided by 100 and not by 10 because I'm doing percentile. So I go ahead, 35 into 1624, that is 56,840, divided by 100, that is 568.4. If I look up the table, 568.4 again would be in this class. So P35 lies here. And we can use the same formula here, P35 L plus 35 into N upon 100 minus CF. So please go ahead and calculate for P35. This concludes our tutorial for calculating quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. A quick note, if you've understood the calculation for median, all the other measures of location follow the same formula for group data. If you've liked this tutorial and you find it easy, please give a thumbs up. Also drop in your messages or comments in the comment box and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.